Well, hello everyone and welcome back to FilmDirt. This is the final instalment of this Alien review series, for now at least, until the imminent release of Alien Romulus. So let's take a look at Alien Covenant. Released in 2017, again directed by Ridley Scott, with a predominantly new cast. A kind of quasi-sequel to Prometheus. When I reviewed that last week, I found it just average, if anything. There's only small parts of it I quite liked, and unfortunately a lot of those feelings were carried over to Alien Covenant. Overall, I just felt this part of the story wasn't really worth telling. There's just not enough here to warrant two films, and I read that originally Ridley Scott did plan a 3-film story. Maybe someone at the studio quietly said, I think we're done with this story and maybe we need to go in a slightly different direction. Because Ridley Scott has fantastic storytelling qualities, and again we know he's an artist. This is epitomised in the first scene for me, that big blank white room. It just looks like it's played for a movie rather than a real scenario. And of course the classical music reinforces this. I don't actually mind the classical music, I think there's a quality to it, but it just doesn't look real to me. It looks like an artist trying to maybe indirectly tell you this is highbrow stuff. And really, I don't think it is. I think it's a fairly simple story. Covenant just seems like almost a paint-by-numbers formulaic story. We've got a haunted house, in theory, and one by one each person either gets bumped off or infected, and we can judge it on how well it's told. And it is well told. I think the visuals for the most part look great. The settings look great. The characters look like they're part of a company. But I find it all just boring. So we're kind of continuing what Prometheus set up. We've got the engineers who startlingly look like Michelangelo's David, which reinforces that this is all about art. We've got this pollen black goo substance that infects people through the air. And of course our new crew end up getting infected in this way. None of them are wearing protective outerwear because it looks like an Earth setting with all the wheat fields. But this is still an alien planet. Put some clothes on, you still don't know what we're dealing with. And for me, this black pollen substance, it just sounded digital. And I don't know if it's to foreshadow what this actually is, because it's apparently David's doing, who is a synthetic. So we get this substance floating through the air, and we never really get it explained exactly what the origin of this black substance is. All I see here is that David's been marooned here for some years, and he's developed a system for incubating this substance and recreation technique within himself. He seems to be a unique model that can do this. And do we really need this explained? He can do it, that's all we need to go with. And maybe the third film, if it was ever meant to happen, was intended to explain this information. But as it is, we're covering the story of deception because of course his robotic twin Walter, they both look exactly the same and they end up switching places. And the only thing differentiating them is one has an American accent and the evil one has a British accent, which I love that. But I'm still trying to work out the evolution process. The vase is full of black goo. We just don't know enough about what they do and what the point is and where they came from. And also this system kind of disturbs what we've known previously, in that the aliens have a life cycle which includes a hive and a queen. Or does it really disturb that? I'm not sure. It kind of does, doesn't it? Because it's a completely different process. And by this point, I think we're past caring. The only thing it tells me is that this company, Wayland, are definitely behind all this. With some no doubt crafty programming for David, he's just carrying out orders. And the fact that each Alien movie has got a completely new crew, the only constant here is Wayland. It's like Big Brother, they're always there, they're always in the background. You don't see them, but they're there. And so they're the big villains. And another couple of faults I found that just really annoyed me was this fascination with the frame rate. Sped up but drop in frame rate. Now Ridley Scott employed this way back in Gladiator for a couple of limited scenes, and I thought it spoiled that film because I don't think that time period suited it. But here it just looks like it's making everything look more fake. He used it in a lot of the action sequences that include a CG xenomorph, and I'm assuming to make it all blend in and just to increase the action, but it just all looked fake to me. I think it was over animated. We see it too clearly, and I don't think the CG was actually that good here. The animation kind of stood out, especially with the drool that came out of its mouth. It just didn't look like it was actually there in that space. I think it did all look like it was sped up and everything else was running at normal speed, but the xenomorph seemed to be just too quick. And I think maybe less is more. We should have seen less of it, just like in the earlier films. It's disappointing. I just thought it looked poor. But there was a couple of pluses I found. That scene at the end, all the action on the lander as it was trying to dislodge the alien, I thought it looked really good. And also the final scene where Walter, or David in this case, actually reveals himself. Very creepy and very well played out. We've seen similar scenes before in movies. But here it's just really well acted by Katherine Waterston and Michael Fassbender. So compliments here where it's due. But I think the bad here just does outweigh the good. And as I said at the top, I just feel that this wasn't really worth telling. Not as much appeal as there was in the first few Alien films. I was just quite bored throughout all of this. And in saying that, I hear good things about Alien Romulus. It's only loosely following this film. I heard there has to be a reference surely, because it is produced by Ridley Scott, even though directed by Fede Alvarez. And also hear that it's got more in common with the first and second Alien films, which is a fantastic plus in my book. So let's score Covenant. I'm going to score it the same as I did Prometheus, which is just average at 2.5. I think we've just taken a little bit too much of a sharp detour, and I think a lot of the artsy stuff was just completely unnecessary. We want to be entertained with a picture, and I don't think this was it. So I'm looking forward to the upcoming Alien Romulus. At the time of recording this, I think we're only a couple of months away. I'll definitely go and watch that, and I'll come back here with my review. So I'd love for you to join me then. Why not like and subscribe so you get the alert? I'll speak to you again soon. All the best for now, and take care.